time like no time we have seen. Brave and hiding from their dignity. Cowards are claiming victory.
My first time in Vermont was like 1986, and I think it was in the fall, and I'd never seen so much beauty of the landscape. And the time we had there with my girlfriend at the time and her friends, just being up here, seeing the mountains coming up like right across the street, but not sharp, something that was inviting. You know, I went, oh, this is just beautiful, and the people. You know, just such kind, considerate, just the type of people you want to be around. And I just had that feeling. But keep in mind, when I was younger, you know, because of genocides, like every generation knows less and less about the previous generation. I had no idea my lineage was actually Abenaki until one day I had to prove it. And to get the card, I had to do my genealogy. And I'm like, at this point in time, I'm active. Now I'm becoming active in the community, and I'm singing songs on the drum, and I start writing songs. So the idea of coming back up here, I'm making connections with the Abenaki people. And yeah, very powerful thing for me to come up and be a part of that, you know, for me personally anyways, yeah. Our people, we have Medewans. Medewans is another way of pronouncing it, and they mess with the elements. And first coming back to the Blankwood after, you know, the first thing I did once I discovered who I was, or where it was, I had somebody that was helping me that was a singer. So I just became wrapped up in what he was doing. And he was a Medewan, going out to Wisconsin, and where there are still like natural ceremonies. You know, now they have societies where they're promoting it in different areas, you know. So much of what we have now is Catholicism is infused into it. We accepted Catholicism, but that's a whole nother story. So Passaconaway, sibis.net/Passaconaway is a great story for people to read because it gives a great example of a very powerful chief and a Medewan. So he could fight, was an incredible warrior, but there are accounts of the time of Passaconaway turning into a bear. Passaconaway could be in two different places at once, and these are colonial or settlers, you know, we're talking 1600s, writing about it. The same time they're persecuting witches in Salem, people are writing about Passaconaway doing what those witches could never have done. But they didn't mess with Passaconaway because they knew he was real. That type of culture is what I like to promote and preserve, really, those memories. At one point in time, our people had songs for everything. I could picture people walking through the woods. You know, because like a lot of our traveling songs would have been like callbacks. So if you were traveling, children could go wherever they wanted as long as their parents could hear them in the callback. Can't hear you in the callback, I'm going to have to go get you. Bringing new songs to the culture was really the most important thing to me. Singing them here, I mean, it's a new song, but it's not like that melody could have been used with the scales I'm using and the way I sang it. You know, they couldn't have been used by people traveling around. But I think more of, you know, I'm singing to my ancestors. I'm singing to the ancestors that are here. They're here. You know, I rely on my ancestors all the time, or whoever's ancestors that are out there that are around me that help me. You know, and you have to have that mindset to be able to do some of what we as Indigenous people do when we go out into the world. How do you survive mentally without having something like that? But the reality is, it's true. So if I get to share that with them, they were getting into it probably as much, if not more, than anything else. You know, which is not frustrating. You know, but it's nice. I mean, it's a sweet song. You know what I mean? So having people get into it and end something like that and have that stuck in their head is, yeah, I'm happy with that.